Hello everyone and welcome back to part 2 of this Let's Play episode with me, spawning as the blue Terran player in this location, and my opponent DocUnissis spawning as the red Protoss player in this location. When I paused the game, I managed to take out my opponent's aggression that was here. He did have Immortals, some Sentries, a few Zealots, and some Stalkers in here. I was able to hold that aggression off with my SCVs that were mining in this location here at my natural, and whatever forces I had. Let's pick up the game. Anyways, sending out my factory here to scout for any incoming Warp Prism harass, as I am seeing a lot more Warp Prism harass play. Not going for any upgrades, as I struggled to regain my composure after that intense battle at my natural, in the front of my natural, accidentally clicking on this destructible debris as I move out with my forces, trying to go for a counter attack on my opponent. However, I don't think I will be able to successfully do enough damage to cripple my opponent, as he does have more forces here, and deciding instead to take out this destructible debris so I can better reinforce my standing army. Going to be actually scouting out with my factory, and oh man, why didn't I just go here? Well, anyways, doing a bad job of scouting right there. Going to be taking this watchtower here in preparation of a push up my opponent's ramp. However, I will see that he does have more forces here, more colossi here, and decide to retreat as, oh man, why didn't I go here? Well, anyways, back at my base, excuse me. My opponent does have an observer. We'll see my army composition, and I also scanned just to check where his army is. Decided not to follow me and was pushing back. Not pushing back, was retreating back to his base, and will not be engaging me until later, as yeah, going for my 2-2 upgrades, as my opponent is going for his level 1 Protoss ground armor upgrades. Going to be was chrono boosting out that extended thermal lance range, as yeah, he didn't have that in the first engagement. Also putting down a Twilight Council, probably going for some Blink Stalkers, as Blink Stalkers are really good in general. Going to be putting down a third expansion in this location, and at this time, was I aware of that expansion? Yes, I was aware of that expansion, as I do start putting down my own expansion at that location right over there. We'll be scouting with my factory that he is coming in with his standing army, going to be shooting down this factory as it flies too slowly in order to get away. We'll be coming out. Why did he build an immortal? Anyways, going to be shooting down my factory as I choose to engage my opponent's forces, stimming up, target firing those colossi and taking them down, managing to take out those colossi, bringing down my Vikings in order to help push this aggression off, and will actually be able to hold this aggression off as I destroy my opponent's army and go for this 1 sentry and 1 stalker, and I do successfully push that back. However, I don't know that this observer is right here as I pass by it. Going to be coming down to this location, as I do plan on taking out this expansion here, as my opponent's army is out of position to deal with this, and I don't think he was expecting me to run up here and try and kill that off. Meanwhile, going to be streaming more forces to my base as I begin saturating this location. We'll be turning this into an orbital command, as back at my opponent's expansion, bringing down his army in order to take out my try and save his expansion there. Will not be able to do so, as my bio does manage to take it out. Choosing to stand and fight with my Vikings, and yeah, we'll be losing this, as there's too much for me to handle at that point. Rallying my my medevacs here, deciding to bring that back, as my opponent's observer hangs out over there, turning this into an orbital, like I said, and yeah, we'll be saturating that location, excuse me, with my SCVs, as I move out with my army, trying to hide my army here, He actually will be passing by this watchtower here. Will get an idea of what I have, as he does see my army. However, I also see his army that's right there, and decides to engage it with my forces. Going to be taking out, stemming back, doing some micro. Oh, that was bad. How embarrassing. Going to be taking out whatever forces he does have here, as I managed to push this aggression back. But he does know about this third expansion, as he did bring his observer there, forgetting to build some turrets in that location. But probably would not have mattered, as he was maybe expecting an expansion there. Going to be loading up my medevacs and sending them out to do a drop in my opponent's base, as I did not see any more units in that location. Figuring out that my his reinforcements were en route, deciding to instead drop in the side of his base to do some damage, do some economic harass, to do some building structure damage, and do manage to take out this one pylon. And seeing the cybernetics core there, and there are no forces to defend against this, decide to take that out, as my opponent does begin moving with his colossi right here. Will be able to take out my bio that was right here. However, I don't fully commit to that attack, as my opponent is now doing damage to my own orbital. Going to be, well, this location was already oversaturated. Deciding to actually stand and fight with my SCVs, not moving them out, as I do target fire the two colossi that were here. I managed to take both of them out, as I finally engaging with my SCVs, as my opponent does take out my bio. As I try my best to hold off this aggression. However, there's 3 stalkers and charge lots here, those 1-2 upgraded charge lots, and my SCVs won't be getting away. As we take a look at the unit counting station, actually this number started at 79, will be dropping down to below 50, as I do have more bio reinforcements coming out to manage to take out my opponent's aggression right here. As I float my command center away, he starts building his nexus back in this location, going to be coming out with photon cannons just to defend against any more aggression that might be coming here, and attempt to take out his his expansion right there. Manages to push back my drop that was here. I did manage to take out my opponent's cybernetic core, and at this point I probably should have pushed out, as he is just beginning to rebuild his cybernetics core. Cybernetics core, of course, as the name states, a core structure, as it is required in order to move up into higher tech. Stalkers, of course, as my opponent will not be able to produce stalkers, as he does not have his cybernetics core in time. Will be coming out with some more aggression, going to be hitting this location with those zealots here, as I do put all of my mules in this location. Going to be actually mined out in my main, almost will be mined out in my natural, as my opponent comes around the side. Going to be doing some heavy economic damage there, as yeah, my opponent is saturating his location in there. We'll be seeing this aggression here, forced to, come on, what am I doing? Doing nothing. And there we go. Finally moving out my forces, deciding to engage my opponent's zealots in this location. Probably not a good idea. Probably should not have done that, as I moved my army flanking him from both sides. Managed to deal with this aggression and stop it. Going to be putting my orbital back into place, as my opponent does finish his cybernetics core. Will be warping in some more stalkers in his main, as I do load up with my medevacs, trying to hit this location right here. However, he does have photon cannons and will be prepared to deal with this drop. Anyways, back at my opponent's base, also getting mined out, is already mined out in his main, will be mining out in his natural, as he will be moving to saturate this location here. Going to be moving out with my forces just to check for any scouts in here. I should have just probably sent one marine and not stemmed up, but anyways, going to be seeing his forces here and doing a terrible job of controlling that. Going to be pushing back my bio, as my drop here failed pretty much, as I was not paying attention, losing all of those units, not being able to do any damage, and at this point trying to scan to see where my opponent's army is, just to see what he has here, as he was out of position in order to deal with my aggression if I did decide to come up here. I'm going to be taking out this destructible debris. However, my opponent sees this and decides to engage my bio that is here, manages to push me back as my reinforcements start to, well, I was gonna say arrive, but they're not arriving. Rescanning my opponent's ramp just to see what forces he has, deciding not to engage him after breaking down these destructible rocks. Going to be stimming up and moving, retreating back, and he manages to kill this one Marine that was there. As my units are now 3-3 in upgrades, and my opponent's upgrades are 1-2, going to be coming out with an expansion in this location, his 4th base, as it is, well, decently guarded by his standing forces here. Going to be well, oversaturating my expansion over here. I probably should have built another command center, or at least floated my main command center into a different mining location so that I can continue to get minerals. As you can see here, taking a look at what's going on in the center of the map, we'll be retreating with my forces, as I do think this is my final stand, and in order to have a shot at winning the game, deciding to go for it. Grouping all of my SCVs and my bio units together, stimming up, and going to be engaging his army with my SCVs and my bio. There is only one medevac in the air, will not be able to heal up as it is forced to heal when it can. I'm going to be taking out my opponent's forces here, as I do think this is my final stand. Will be moving out, as my opponent does have High Templar, and oh my goodness, does not have Storm. Oh man, does not have Storm. Is he researching Storm? No, he's not researching Storm. Deciding to forego Storm, or actually forgot to get Storm. Will be changing his High Templars, merging them into Archons, but my bio is just too much for him, as they're only 1-3 upgrades, and my Marines and Marauders are 3-3 upgraded. Going to be continuing my push up into his ramp. I'm going to be taking out this expansion that was right here. Managed to take that out. As I am low on resources, and realizing this, I decide to actually start moving my my main orbital into another mining location, as my opponent is also forced to bring down his zealots and probes, and will be warping in some more High Templar, but they have no Storm. This was a big blunder on my opponent's part, whether he forgot about it or just decided not to go with it. I think that was a big blunder, as if one Storm could have destroyed all of my red, yellow, and orange units, as there was only one medevac. Managing to take out this this gateway here and that pylon, taking out that other gateway. Going to be target firing down this this nexus. I'm going to be taking out my opponent's natural, as I do start moving up my opponent's ramp, deciding just to go for it, and moving up with my bio. Going to be taking out this nexus right here, going to be taking out this one stalker right there, and actually my opponent calls the GG, as he does think it was an awesome game, as did I, as it was back and forth, and as such is forced to leave the game. As we watch the final engagement, I won't be doing a critical analysis moment, but I will point out that had my opponent had Storm, he would have won the game, basically. All the units that you see right here right now, they were already in yellow, as I was using Stim heavily. There was just one medevac in the air, and had my opponent had Storm, he would have won the game. Just straight out. I did manage to talk with him and chat with him about the game a little bit, and he did say that he missed Storm, so that was a big mistake on his part, and just that one mistake cost him the game. Well, it does happen from time to time. Unfortunately for me, you know, his mistake came at a very untimely manner. Didn't have it when I was pushing up with my bio, and actually this was my last push, so had he had Storm, he would have won. Well, everyone, that does it for this game. If you liked my commentary and videos, please subscribe to my channel. Also, thumbs up and like this video. And as always, thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you on another episode of Let's Play with AK.